this evening. Really solidified the gap between those two teams respectively. We know for Fury that they're just completely not even up to scratch right now. Mind you, playoff time, things can change. They can find improvement. But as of right now, as we come towards the end of Play Day 5, these guys need to just dominate their opponents, get the job done, take out HASIB. And honestly, the EPS speaks for itself when you kind of look at like some of these numbers. And Cal, 70% cost, 133 EPS, almost has 50 kills already, 9 and 4 on entry. Some absolutely disgusting stats. Arpe is technically, Rob, the worst rated player on the team, but even still, he's almost even on KD. He's almost even on entry. He's still at least 65% cost, which is the same as Shed. So even for someone who's rated the lowest, he's still performing, and he's the kind of player that can certainly continue to improve the stage. Can these guys beat Bleed later on in, playoffs? Maybe. I don't know. But all we need to see is them continue to improve this stage, take that second spot, and almost book themselves a spot in the grand final.
Well, I mean, they could still technically beat Bleed in a best of one. They still play them next week. And, just to kind of harp on about the storyline for Elevate and how important it is for them to finish strong, if you look back to stage 1, every team in which were, let's just say on the lower end of the table, bottom 3 teams, 7-1, 7-1, 7-0. Now, for me, that is the sign of a team that takes this seriously, that knows what's on the line, and will do what it takes to ensure that they are dominable inside of every single game. And no more so than when they're up against HASIB Warriors, who have had... look, it's not been the greatest stage, Dev. I mean, do you want to come in and save me here? Do you want to try and save some face with me?
Yeah, mate, they have got a point. They got one point.
That's a good point.
It is a very good point.
That's a great point. And hey, they got 3 rounds off of Bleed. And then got those rounds revoked because they had to forfeit because they couldn't get a substitute. Yeah. And they lose to Knock Knock, I guess. But I know that's an asterisk in those kind of like national rivalry games or like sub-regional rivalry games that we see like that one. But yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of good things to say, except that we were impressed with these guys at the start of the stage. They had an okay run against NoCap, a solid run against Direwolves, and of course, looked really great for the first 6 rounds that we got to see of them against Bleed. And we hyped them up going into that Knock Knock game. They were the favorites in Allies in that game, but they fell. Now this is another chance to prove themselves. If it's the HASIB that would toe-to-toe with Bleed that come up today and play against Elevate, then hey, maybe this is actually a possibility for a close game. But Elevate are undefeated. They are unbesmirched. They have not dropped a single point so far, and that means that this is the best-looking Elevate we've actually ever seen. Last stage, they lost dominantly to Fury. This stage, they're looking in much better form. Last stage, they also lost to Direwolves, so they're yet to play, but I expect they'll take down Direwolves as well. There's a very solid chance that Elevate could actually go flawless in the best of 1 phase, as they already beat Bleed in stage 1 as well. So HASIB Warriors really have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, and we go to the ban phase for the maps, and I really, again, I know we always talk about this being no contest really on any map. I still, unfortunately for HASIB, I just don't have a lot of hope for them. Elevate are just on another level right now, and we are headed to Consulate. Yeah, I'll be honest, Dev. Sorry to cut you out of the conversation here, Jake, for a little bit, but Dev, I'll be honest. I'm not a fan of the Consulate picks I've seen so far for both Asia and OS. I don't know. It just doesn't... It feels like teams still don't have a firm idea on how to attack this map.
Yeah, and look, this is not HASIB's favorite map. In fact, this is their least favorite map. They've banned it in 17 out of the 19 vetoes that they have been part of, that I've got stats for in the last 6 months. And as for Elevate, they've only banned it twice in the last 6 months, so it's actually their second favorite map behind Cafe. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is a very one-sided match, especially because it was already looking to be a very one-sided match. Last time these teams met in the server in Stage 1, it was a 7-0 in favor of Elevate. But yeah, I really just, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know how to spin this other than I think Elevate are pretty solid on this map. Like, they've beaten Fury, they've lost to Fury on this one before. Like, it's a decent-ish map for them, for HASIB, historically. Like, they've got one really nice win in the qualifiers against Deadeye Esports, but that's against Deadeye Esports, not against Elevate. So I think that this should be a pretty cut-and-dried affair.
Xenox, the storyline doesn't look great, but HASIB have shown against tough opponents they can turn up their heat. Is it possible, like just theory crafting here, is it possible a defense side for Consulate, maybe they get off to a bit of a run here, maybe they start to make Elevate sweat?
Yeah, I always love to play DA. I was going to actually hop in before then you went and played back over to James, but I was sitting there cooking up a way to play Devil's Advocate, which is what DA means.
Oh, is that? Oh, I thought it was District Attorney. Sorry,
I
mate.
thought it was District Attorney as well, actually. Yeah.
Apologies. Sorry.
Obviously, the loss to Knock Knock, disappointing, right? And we all know that. And disappointing because they've actually been showing that they've got the capabilities and the quality to take it to some of these other teams in Southeast Asia. You go back before, a week ago, Direwolves 8-6, they go to OT. That's where they got their point. Let's go back even further than that. Another week, Rob, 3-3 at the half into forfeit against 2 Bleed. And they were looking great. They were looking really, really good. There was a lot of question marks at that point in time. A lot of people were saying, man, I can't believe we didn't get to see the ending of that game. Week 1, 7-3 loss, no cap. Okay, bit unfortunate, but still got a couple of rounds, right? So, this is a team that doesn't just get blown out of the water. No. But for some reason, they just can't get the job done against Knock Knock. If they go beat Knock Knock, they're at 4 points. We're having a whole different conversation for this game. At the end of the day, Elevate should win. But I am hoping, and I'm somewhat expecting this to still be a contest because of HASIB Warriors' ability to play up to their opponent.
Wow. Hopefully a competitive match here on Playdate 5 for HASIB Warriors. They've obviously shown that they're here to compete. Now we need to see whether they can take points off of the big dogs. They go against Elevate. We head to Consulate.
Thank you very much. And guess what? It's HASIB starting on defense first as well. So if there is any Devil's Advocate to be played here, Jake, I wouldn't be surprised if that's a key element to it. HASIB start on the favored side. They start on the comfortable side. Elevate are the ones who have got to get their heads in the game and their boots in the building.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they're wearing boots, of course. They might not be wearing boots. Maybe
they could be wearing sneakers. They could sneak into the building.
Oh, that is an amazing way to play off of the segue. Look, I think that for this particular game, right, the pressure's off for HASIB in some ways, but the pressure's off only because of their inability to close out against Knock Knock or just beat Knock Knock in general, right? I mean, they got beaten as well pretty comprehensively, and it just seems to be this extended trend that they can't beat their South Asia brothers. And while they can certainly be more of a contest against teams above them, and I can't honestly explain to you why, James, but they definitely do perform better against these teams in Southeast Asia. So I think Elevate, I don't want to go as far to say trap game, but they've been clean, they've been flawless, they haven't dropped a single point. 4 games, 4 wins, 12 points, plus 13 round differential. This is where you just got to keep that going. If you win 7-3, 7-4, that's fine by me.
What's Shed been yapping about in the all chat? Bit of bants going back and forth? Yeah, alright.
I don't know.
I don't know how much...
Yeah,
I mean, something about... I think it was good luck, have fun, you'll need it, that kind of vibe. Good times. Friendly bants. I'm actually quite excited to see how Elevate attack here, because Consulate is a very hard map to attack, and Elevate are a very strong team right now. Haven't seen them play Consulate recently. I personally didn't watch the EWC qualifiers where they played this map against Fury last time they played it. But in the stage, and it's not been in one of their vetoes as of yet. And especially with a couple of changes coming out recently, not only the Scopos on the defense, but we've talked so much about shields. We talked about the striker and the sentry becoming a little, particularly the striker, becoming a little bit more mainstream. We've seen changes to Nook. I thought we were going to see her teased out for a brief moment, but I'm going to be appeased anyway because we got the Glaz, and I love seeing picks like this Glaz.
Attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
Yeah, confidence is key though for HASIB, isn't it, right? Sometimes you kind of look at things like spawn peeking as an almost overconfident play, but I think it's certainly the kind of mindset you need to have in these sort of matchups where you just go and throw caution to the wind and you see if you can get some early picks, catch them off guard. Consulate's good for that. Did see the Scopos actually, James, earlier this evening on this very map. Do you think we'll see it again? It wasn't amazing.
Yeah,
right,
but
nothing special.
I don't know. People are still figuring out how to use Scopos. With time, people will get better at figuring out the best ways to use a gadget. Interesting. Deep smokes very early to enable the Glaz to swing on in. Oh, it's a bait. He's not actually peeking it. He just wants them to hide. I don't really get the point of that. Are they trying to bait them into thinking, oh, it's a rush, guys? But it hasn't forced any of these roamers back. And Din is the one on the defensive side, the warden. He can just stare through that smoke.
Don't know if we ended up mentioning, by the way, but Elevate play Bleed tomorrow, James. So, you know, you want to have a good, almost warm down tonight, get a good game. Make it as quick as possible so you're not up too late. And then you're set up for a big day tomorrow. 3 kills halfway through this round. You know, HASIB. I mean, just, I don't know. I said like one sentence and they just lost the round.
Yeah. Yeah, blink and you miss it.
Yeah.
Particularly killing Mira. And, well, Din's now off on a roam. He was a very pivotal player on site, but round is quite simply done and dusted. Elevate, I really like the way they found those picks, but then they didn't over-aggress. They just used the Dokkaebi call. They slowed things right on down. They looked very solid to lock out that advantage, something that we've seen some of these greener teams really struggle to do when they're in the advantage. They're very dangerous positions to be in your 2v4s, 2v5s. Very winnable for the defense if the attack puts a step wrong. But I'm, like I said, really excited to see Elevate on this attack. 4-0 so far in the stage, and attack is just such a big challenge. So that's where one of those picks was, just long angle. I don't know how he got caught out there. And losing that mirror as well was just devastating. I'm just really keen to see what Elevate's ideas are, because we're seeing Glaz, we're seeing Sens.
Oh man, it's Bliss 2023. Somewhere Guz is rolling over in his grave. He's not dead, but terminology. Yeah, this is not a play that he likes. I think I remember the statistic was something like a 25% win rate when, and this was of course Team Bliss for playing this particular lineup. It's almost like overcooking in some ways when it comes to the strategy, right? Because you're putting so much emphasis on just the Glaz Sens combo, depending if you play it off that particular way. That if one piece of the puzzle falls, then the whole pie can just certainly fall apart.
I think the thing about Glaz Sens, you're dedicating 2 operators that don't bring a lot of other utility to whatever your idea is. By the way, hell of a lot of nades on this lineup. Haven't seen a lot of these. Haven't seen this many nades in the lineup since nades were actually good. And the Glaz is part of that, so he can bring his nades to the case. And when you got the Sens, it's not such a big deal if you don't have anyone bringing smokes, because Sens has got 3 of those light walls. But the key here with playing operators like Glaz and Sens, you do it because the push calls for it, not because you're trying to force an operator. Sens is so good with Glaz. So much better than looking through smokes, because as the Glaz player, you can actually move as much as you want, and you'll still be able to see perfectly clearly through those Sens gates. Whereas with the smokes, you have to be standing still or moving very, very slowly. Not sure what they're trying to cook with it, though.
Yeah, I mean, your guess. I'm not even going to bother. Guz will probably just find a way to laugh at me. I got no idea, James, honestly.
We'll keep an eye on the late round
as good as mine.
The execute comes down.
It's just 2 play-by-plays, just looking at what Elevate's trying to do against the SIB Warriors. Like, let's not, like, divulge too much into this. I need to see a bit more presence though from HASIB. That's the only thing I will say. They're very stagnant on the defense, not opting to kind of push out, be aggressive. And it's just allowing Elevate to kind of just slowly poke and prod and keep pushing towards the site. Now Culling towards managers so they can start to clear up hallway. I mean, I guess if you want to look at Shed, he's in towards admin. The ROU can block off a lot of the sightline from Baz, but I feel like that's just... Wouldn't you just be better off bringing, like, a Capital?
Yes, if the sole purpose is to kill Baz, yeah. He's actually going to fall back. Interesting. Oh, opening pick for HASIB. Nice long angle. This is actually very winnable for HASIB because we got these smokes as well.
Here we go.
On the smoke. The gas babes can make this really tight in the late round. Here come the Sens light walls. I don't know where this Glaz is if he's able to peek on through it. Here goes NHI Cal. one of the best players in the region right now, and MC straight ahead of him, looking for a plant position. Well, Ape's gone
dead.
down.
No
Doesn't
Glaz.
matter about that Glaz. He was on the side of the map and not instrumental to this push. Now 3v3, and the cover has to be good. Well done from Shed. This light wall is really nasty. MC's also activated on site, up to Din. And yeah, I reckon this round is over. Bit of a confusing one for Elevate.
I will do my best here, James, but I think the way actually he did use the ROU was great in the sense it wasn't just for the hallway that it extended towards long desk, blocking that sight line in towards meeting men. It really did kind of keep them stuck towards top spiral without being able to look into sight, allowing the play with the diffuser to then just get in towards default, get the plant down uncontested. They didn't even use or need the Glaz because Alpe just dies to the nitro cell anyway. It's also then really hard to like how do you run around the ROU, right? Like you can't, you're really cut off in that position. You can't just run down the hallway and run through it. Like it actually kind of worked to a degree.
Yeah, I mean the thing we were talking about where Sens and Glaz goes wrong is when you try and crutch your push on making that utility work. Elevate did the opposite of that. Funnily enough, I think whatever they planned to cook up with the Glaz was not actually what they ended up going for. Because you would typically expect a Glaz to be peeking through the Sens. There's literally no reason why you pick Glaz over some other nade operator if you're not going to be peeking through the Sens. So at the end of it, they were like, oh, well, we need someone on CEO window for a flank. That's just going to be Ape just because he happens to be the free person. The Sens in the end wasn't actually used to enable the peeking of the Glaz. It was to cut off that line of sight, as you were saying, from vending and from front desk, and also to create that gnarly one-way angle that enabled that push into sight.
I think that's actually probably a really good thing that Elevate didn't put all of their eggs in the one basket, which I think typically is seen with that kind of combo. It's kind of like, hey, we're going to play the Sands, we're going to use the ROU maybe this way, as whether it's plan A, whether it's plan B, but whether or not the Glaz plays off it or not, irrelevant. If he does, cool, great, you know, because it combos really well. If it doesn't, then we've got other ways we're going to play off it. So yeah, always interesting discussion point because we don't see the Sands all that often. And typically when we do see it, as you kind of alluded to before, usually you've got some kind of plan specifically for it. But that just kind of looked like a normal attack formulated off the back of hallway control, clear out long desk with the light walls, and an easy plan. I still want to see, again, a bit more aggression from HASIB Warriors, probably in the middle portion of the round. Not so much right now, like 2 minutes don't really need to do anything too overzealous, but you know, around that 90-second mark when Elevator just outside site, they're prepping, they're prodding, they're getting their util game going. Can anyone get into a flanking position? Can you get aggressive? Can you get information, intel? Good little angle on the balcony with the Occitalon shield.
I wonder if it's pretty much the same intention from Elevate, just with a slightly different util setup. Likely we've got a little bit more of an aggressive hold from HASIB. It doesn't look like you're going to try and hold on to that vending position hard. Baz is just playing long desk.
Well, they're playing on site more.
Here. Yeah, I don't know. I just want to see some plant, and I'll come late round. If Elevator going to keep taking this long.
So I think right now what Fatah needs to do is stay in this position and block the doorways. Gas Babes, he's got 2 more. You've got Shotgun. You need to basically go down with the ship.
Yeah, but he needs to do that, delaying as much time as possible.
Oh, absolutely.
He cannot. If he dies here with 3 Gas Babes,
well, he needs to say, you can't come through this doorway. You need to go clear vending, then take long desk and speak easy. He just gets bored from playing balcony. He's like, guys, I'm just sitting behind a shield. I'm bored. I'm going to go in. And he gets 2 kills. They all then push off of that information as well. And you just kind of wonder, like, how does this keep happening collectively? How does not one play from HASIB in that moment get a trade?
Oh, well, it's all up to Taha. He was meant to be denying the plant from down below.
James, this is very winnable.
The 1v1 now. 2 players are on the ground. All up to Shed. Taha doesn't really know it. He thinks it's still everywhere. A 1v3. They're just slugging along for information. Not even going to try and be res. Okay, so he knows one's down, and he's about to realize the second player is down. He's got no clue, man. He's got no clue. He realizes 2 players are downed. This is so winnable. He's now finally figured out that it's a 1v1. And he's got both of those kills. He's got to stick this. Oh! Baits him out, and he doesn't get the kill. Shed's going to win this now. There's no second chances. Taha, you don't have time anymore. And there you go. Round 1 by Elevate. Taha is kicking himself.
Oh, no.
Oh, bro, look at the reactions on their faces. That's devastating.
I feel so bad. I feel bad, James, because he's done a lot right. And it's not, he's got clearly not a lot of information there at the end in terms of the players that are downed. And I don't know if that's then miscomm from his teammates, but he clearly, for the start of that sequence, didn't have all the pieces of the puzzle until he started to push in, clear out, etc. And he noticed, okay, 2 are down. Then he knows he's just playing a 1v1 at a post plan, and he almost gets the kill. That's the crazy thing. He almost kills Shed. So I'm sure we'll get to see it here in the POV. It was a 1v3 for all intents and purposes. 2 were already down. So he gets the 2, creates the 1v1. This is the first attempt, gets him down to 28 HP. At that point, Shed's played this really well as well, and Taha's got no time. So, yeah, I mean, if he could obviously play that round again, maybe he's a little speedier in the earlier portion of that post plant, but I feel bad because he's done a lot right there. And in the end, that was almost a winnable round for HASIB. Ultimately, though, 3-0 down. Elevate will take it.
5 seconds left before insertion. Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Swarm peek from HASIB, 0-3 down on Consulate defense. That takes some real guts. I respect the grind. And this really could be a 2-1. That was very clutchable. Really didn't look like it for a serious moment there, but... Well, HASIB is going to keep on mixing things up and hopefully find something that sticks. Now we've gone to the split bomb site. But again, I said this twice now already, but I'm just really excited to see Elevate tested on some attacks. It's nice to get to see how a really good team goes for these attacks. How they look up at a setup, start to interpret it. Wow, HASIB almost killed from the bloody roof. That is a gnarly angle. It's the fear of God into him. Speakeasy.
Loading new mag. Deploying heartbeat sensor. RED active. If it runs on batteries, I'll see it.
Thank you, Fan. High Cal to see if he can spot out Taha
Freebie
on the cardiac sensor. Freebie. And High Cal does get the trade. Immediate trade. And HASIB, once Pete's still very low on that mirror, so right now you're probably back in the position that Elevate find themselves in. Still double hard breach as well. You do lose a lot of that soft breach, so yeah, the vert certainly not going to be quite as prominent for Elevate. Mirror just very quickly dealt with.
MC is a madman for running suppressor on the Type 89. I don't think I've ever seen someone unironically run that before. Absolute madman. Elevate shaping up a decent position. Speakeasy still has a Selma. He can breach this wall where the destroyed mirror is. Oh, there's a big pick from the hatch. Din thought he had the play, but he was taken out. Now 4v3 with HASIB extremely low HP, and Elevate doing the smart thing and pushing the downstairs site so they're not vulnerable going to that top floor site. C4s from below. However, Speakeasy goes down, but this is a pivotal 1v1 now won by High Cal, and he's got a way into the site. MC with the backstab. That suppressor doing him wonders. Nice final kill there for High Cal. Elevate are absolutely steamrolling.
Oh, that is the exact word that was in my head, James. I'm actually a little bit spooked. You've stolen it right out of my brain. My thoughts.
I actually know what you're thinking right now.
Yeah.
Think of a number between 1 and 10. I know what it is. You ready?
Right. Yep. Go.
4.
I was going to say, I had 5. So you're close.
No, you had 4. You had 4.
Oh, I had 4. Sorry. Yeah, no. My bad. 4-0. I see where you're going with it.
Yep.
Look, I think I spoke about the aggression I wanted to see out of HASIB, and certainly playing the Pulse and Taha, going for that kind of play. Understandable, but ultimately if you do play the site there, you probably get a lot more information. You can get a bit more of a read on the way that Elevate are playing. You're losing a lot of intel for that one kill, so you're kind of like, yeah, you get the kill, but then the rest of the round now is a little bit more volatile without that pulse information. And then everyone else is kind of just stranded on site. They have to hold angles. It's kind of this waiting game. They're going to push. They're going to hit us. We just got to try and cover angles, and everyone lost their ones. Carl, an absolute beast, swinging everything, hitting all these shots. And yeah, I mean, there's, again, another round in which there's no flank potential. There's no one that's like towards, you know, Yellow Stairs pushing in towards Dungeon, maybe going to provide a bit of an offset angle that Elevate's not going to be prepared for. There's nothing that HASIB is doing in this match that Elevate have to be wary of. They're able to just hit sight knowing full well they're all just sitting there waiting for us. And that is information. That's game sense that Elevate are playing off of. It's all too easy right now. And I didn't hype HASIB Warriors up, but I did try to play devil's advocate that at times they play well to their opposition. In this case tonight, not so much.
You know, I mean, I do think HASIB have some really solid moments, and again, it's an absolute crime that we didn't get to see the end of their bleed versus their bleed match where they were up 3-3 at the half on attack. They may still have lost that game, but that would have really changed the conversation and given us a proper insight into where this team's at. But I think this game here isn't, oh, HASIB are terrible. It's just that Elevate are pretty bloody good right now. Honestly, I reckon this stage, Bleed have gotten better, Elevate have gotten way better, and Fury have gotten worse. No Cap's also gotten better. The rest of the teams, I don't know. But that's my take. Elevate have probably improved more between this stage and last stage than Bleed have. But Bleed obviously already had quite a big head start. And that is why I am so pumped for their match tomorrow to settle this rivalry and give us a real indication of who's looking at being the best team in the region right now.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Talk about timing as well. I think really as the stage has kind of gone on, the storylines that have, you know, developed along with the schedule, it's perfect. Like if we had had Elevate Bleed, you know, play day 1, we might not have looked at it in the same light that we do now going into play day 6.
Or even if it just happened before Fury lost to Rival. Yeah. But the timing is perfect. Fury lose to Rival today, and then immediately tomorrow we get to see the big game. Baz does fire up, takes down the hottest player on Elevate. Good start, but all it does is equalize the numbers.
Yeah, same thing as the last round as well, isn't it? Again, I think HASIB are probably wanting to get that aggression in the earlier portion of the round. Easy swing for Arpe. Baz just caught a little bit unaware towards Vending, gets away with his life intact, but low on health, doing a good job clearing these defaults really quickly on the entries. But Speakeasy does lose his life, and suddenly for HASIB, halfway through this round, they find themselves in a very winnable round. This is probably the most winnable it's been.
Nice.
Arpe a little bit slow on the reaction from Dinwon's piece, and yeah, woo indeed, and certainly a little clap from Taha. That was a well-worked round from HASIB.
Very nice. Finally seeing them back into the game. And look, it's nice to see HASIB have got a lot of fans. If you looked at Din's camera for a second, he's got a fan right there in the background cheering him on as he plays. That'll be funny once you see the camera. I don't know if production can do that for us. Can we see Din's camera?
I don't need to see the camera.
That's hilarious.
No, that's just not funny.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh,
good. Look what you've done. Look what you've done, James.
Camera. Now we're going to see his camera. Did I just do
not what we need.
Is that on me, Jake? Is that on me?
That is definitely on you. This should have been a kill, by the way.
Last round I was like, this is going to be a 7-0, by the way. Like, we're going to have an early night. And then, yeah.
It is actually still an early night for Asia standards. It's, what, 7-5, 7-2, 7-2. It's only 1 o'clock. We usually go to about 3, James.
Yeah.
Local time, of course, here in Australia.
Yeah.
Rehost was called out in the chat. Unfortunately, a disconnect, and we'll start the timer. Get it up. 10 minutes.
Start that timer. Not again, man.
It wouldn't be the first time for HASIB, unfortunately, this stage. For those who are a bit unfamiliar, we go all the way back to Playdate 2, where it was 3-3, far more competitive, fun-looking game against Bleed, of which, to add further context, it was 3-3 at Skyscraper, and HASIB were about to be the team to go on defense. So they were in a very strong position, James. And then, of course, disconnect, power outage, 10 minutes, player couldn't get back in. Job was done. And there was a little bit of kerfuffle about like substitutes, etc. And like to make it clear, you can't substitute mid-game. That's never been a thing. So, of course...
Except in Japan League. Well, of course... We'll continue this game in a brief moment. First, we're going to a quick break. All right, guys. There's no more time left on that timer. It's time to get right back into this one, Jake. Elevate versus HASIB Warriors.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
Not too much in terms of, you know, competitiveness right now to talk about, but you could bring it back if you HASIB, get this next round, close out the half, close it on a good fashion, start well in the next one, and, you know, ultimately then you've brought it back to 4-3. So the next 2 rounds I think are the most important, otherwise that scoreboard's going to really balloon out, and Elevate, I don't think are the kind of team that's going to allow some kind of magical comeback. They are a very well-drilled team, almost like Bleed Light. Would you agree, James?
Elevator Bleed Light? I don't know. I feel like Elevator Elevate. I know that sounds a bit oversimplistic, but I just see these teams as...
See, you know what the issue is? When you say that, James, you are not wrong. Yes, Elevate are Elevate. Well done. Everyone can see that. But my discussion point is that I'm using Bleed's like structuredness and role, you know, style and the way that they play the team. They employ a lot of that same thinking and strategy to the point where it's like, again, they're not playing Asia as if it's like Asia. They play a style of Siege that will hopefully hold up internationally.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think,
but probably not as good as Bleed, though.
Yeah, I think Bleed historically have actually been more of an aggressive team. I think Bleed with Leader is starting to look a lot more like what Elevate have looked like. And I think Elevate have been trying this more methodical play style with hints of aggression where necessary for a while now. But I think it's finally starting to come together. Whereas I think Bleed were a lot more just go, hyper aggro. And now they've started to settle into something a little bit more methodical now that they've got Leader on the squad. But yeah, I mean, again, comes back to that game tomorrow. We won't really know whether Elevate or Bleed Light or maybe Bleed or Elevate Light once that game settles in tomorrow. The difference is how proven they are. And of course, Elevate is not as proven as Bleed. But I'm seeing so many good things.
Scanning for electronic devices.
Yeah, I think on face value, tomorrow's matchup is going to be very intriguing. Bleed will go in as favorites, but Elevate probably might thrive on that underdog status. At the same time, there's every world in which those two will meet in the grand final in a best of 3 in a couple of weeks' time, and well, we always talk about the saving strats. Elevate may look at that kind of matchup and think, geez, there's every chance we do indeed see them in the grand final. Let's save whatever we've got maybe up our sleeve for that particular series. Right now, though, a minute to go in this final round of the half after the rehost opening kill for HASIB. Fartar over towards Dungeon, and he just goes prone right now, and this could be a second round looming for HASIB in a row.
There's a big play to lose as well, and Hycal has been the best in the league recently. Oh, big C4 as well. Shed going down. That's your Ying. That's your X Factor. That's your Execute utility. What was shaping up to be a pretty solid first and second segment of the round is now looking very grim, but that headshot may indeed redeem it. Ape getting around it. Still, we have that clash up. Baz is on the ground, but not finished off yet. But this clash could make things very difficult. Ooh. That's why Din needs to not peek here. Imperative that he just stays back. Now, there are EMPs here to counter the clash, and as Din and HASIB are the last ones left, I mean, it's over. The EMPs are all that Elevate needed, and just marching on forward, holding right click. Easy lockout in the 3v5.
They can do so much right for such a long period of time, HASIB, but then at the end of the day, Elevate just find a way to walk you to site and get a couple of kills, and that's probably the hallmark of that opening half. You go back to arguably some of those earlier rounds, and that really just ends up being the difference maker. You know, 3 rounds, HASIB got the opening kill. So 3 rounds they had what you would consider an advantage. 3 rounds that they then squandered despite said advantage. So, you know, it's quite disappointing in some ways. The final portions of these rounds for HASIB Warriors have really let them down. They've had some okay moments in the earlier portions. Even in that one there with Fartar getting the opening kill, keeping control of Dungeon, denying an entry position. All these things are nice little things. And then Elevator able to just kind of waltz on in. 5-1. Can't imagine that this game is going to be overly extended. HASIB now onto the attack. Could go for a swift entry on the Amaru, but
10 seconds left.
typically doesn't always play out that way.
5 seconds left before insertion.
I'd love to know what HASIB have
Attackers objective
in mind for this Amara. Wouldn't be surprised if it's CEO, maybe pushing elsewhere and then Amaring CEO for a kind of backstab. Maybe he wants a CEO. I mean, I like to call it con window because it's where the old connector window was. But now it's really just like the meeting window, I guess. Connector has moved quite a lot. We've seen teams Amaru in and plant there. You do have a hard piece of cover you can hide behind. But it's very easy to C4. Well enough, we have no C4s on the Elevate roster. Lots of ways you can deny it regardless though. Goyo, smoke, or an easy swing. I see Claymores go down, air jabs go down, the drones are out. They're looking, try and cook up a little bit of an execute play here.
Yeah, I feel like you go back a couple of years ago and in APAC, you'd see that Amara and you just think they're just going to go straight in immediately. But nowadays, these teams understand you got to do your due diligence, clear out a lot of utility. You can't just make a swift entry with the grappling hook. And just because you play the Amara, it doesn't mean you have to enter the building inside of 30 seconds. Like, you've got some time. You can use it as a late round entry tool. Into what's lounge for HASIB wants peace. Yeah, so needs to keep moving around though, and he's going to get one. Yeah, freebie.
It's a good
nice
read. Yeah. It's a really good read though from HASIB. Like they clearly want the Amara. I believe they got the hatch eventually, but they're not really tunnel visioning on the execute. For now, they've just got the buck in below. They've got the Nomad covering with air jabs and a passive flank watch. And that means that while the floor's being torn up, Elevate think, oh, we need to send a guy for a flank. Well, that's being watched, and then up is a free kill. And now Elevate really just contesting this vert, try and find something. I believe that kill was one player dropping yellow. So HASIB are teetering on the edge of going for an execute here as the Bees went out for a brief moment.
Oh, Baz. The only issue is that, yes, you put the pressure on, but you haven't cleared anyone, and now you eventually lose Baz. So the site itself is still really difficult to actually enter, and Taha went for it on the Amaru. Pushed off it by the gas babe of Speakeasy. I mean, Baz has done his best, and I think the idea is sound, and it's there, James, but the execution has unfortunately just left him in a position where that idea now needs to be scrapped, and that's why you're seeing HASIB wants peace. Yellow stairs pushing in, making noise, and it's just going to be a dry peek. He doesn't survive this.
Honestly, it's a great strat here. But it doesn't work out for the main simple reason of you need more than one avenue of pressure. Having a buck go below and vert is awesome, but you need lateral pressure as well. You need crossfires. Someone playing vertically against a good team, you know what they will do? They see that buck, they see the floor being open, and they just shoot back. And then it's a 50-50. And Elevate, well, they are better in their 50-50s. So HASIB needed some other element to add to that to guarantee that the buck would get the kills there. And the other factor that really made that so winnable for Elevate is not only did they have the Vulcan canister, the Goyo, on that window that burnt out 20 seconds, but they had 3 smokes from the gas babe. So eventually, when amidst the chaos, HASIB did get in the building and start going for a plant, they immediately have to stop it for 10 seconds, jump back out outside again. So you're not taking Elevate by surprise. And if you try and go for broken, go for kills where you're peeking onto safe positions where you've got N-High Cal on a Kiba barrier, he's not losing that. So nice ideas there for HASIB, and I tell you what, that probably would have worked against half the teams in this league, not against Elevate.
Yeah, the unfortunate reality as well is this is not like the first rodeo. If we were to go back a couple of stages ago, we'd be sitting here saying, you know, good learning lessons for HASIB, good learning lessons for South Asia, but clearly that gap is just still so prominent. You can clearly see there's good ideas there, and I understand the game well, and I think that they can play better than this. We saw that against Bleed. But the fundamentals are just on a different level, and also for Elevate's sake, they're also on a different level right now. They're playing the besiege that we've seen from this roster, from this iteration, and well, they've set themselves up for tomorrow. Elevate will be 5 from 5. Bleed will be 5 from 5. Both teams on 15 points, James. It doesn't get any better than that. The winner of that game will essentially win group stage. It's no no ifs and buts, right? Like, it's as simple as that. You win that game, you will finish first. It also means it's pretty much set us up as well that Bleed and Elevate are pretty much going to be locked in for 1 and 2, meaning they will both go to the semi-final, which does mean for everyone else in the group stage and in this league, you do have a bit more of an understanding of your pathway. You finish 3rd or 6th, you're going to play potentially Elevate if they do lose to Bleed, and vice versa. 5th, 4th would then go play the Bleed side of the bracket.
Bang.
Yeah.
There's not much left in the tank here for HASIB. On a big roam like this, on a map as large as Consulate, it's never going to be easy. We see the Scopos join the action as well. Shed finds a pick. Taha is down. It's all up to Din. Oh, he's about to find Shed here. I don't know whether that was the shell that he got the previous kill on, whether he's teleported back up to it.
It can't be teleported. What? It has to be like transferred? I think it's transfer, right?
Yeah. There you go. The game is over.
Yeah.
And the rounds were very quickly transferred. Teleported. It felt like we teleported to the end of that game, how quickly it went down.
Wow, that was beat down.
A 7-1 for Elevate. Completely untouchable by HASIB.
Yeah, a little bit disappointed. I expected more out of that game. I said that when we kind of went into it, that HASIB could certainly play up to their opponents, but unfortunately in this case they played down. We'll get Rob back in and get his thoughts on the game. It was a bit of a quick one, Rob. You wouldn't have been able to go too far. I haven't even got out of slouch mode. I'm just chilling. I'm having a great time. Hey, I mean, like, talk about Asia tonight though. 7-5, which honestly ended up being game of the night. Fury and Rival. That was a really good game. But then 7-2, 7-2, 7-1. Absolutely, one-sided affair tonight leads us to a bit of a speed run. It's only 1:30 local. I'm pumped. I've got the whole night ahead of me.
Don't sound too disappointed.
Yeah, I think, what was it, first 2 play days, one of them nearly finished at 4 a.m. So
it did.
Definitely feels like a speed run. And to be honest, I mean, it has been, I say it feels like it has been a quicker night, unfortunately. We are, I don't know which one of you said it, but the clear gap, discrepancy, whatever you want to say, it's very obvious now. South Asia, unfortunately, cannot hit it with the big dogs at the moment in the Southeast Asia department, but I think you've got to be impressed just by Elevate and their continued performance against teams lower than them, Dev. They've, from stage 1 now into stage 2, they show that when it matters, like when they're up against teams that are at that lower category, they are well and truly, without a doubt, the better team in the server.
Yeah, I think the only exception there is when they lost to Direwolves in stage 1, but I think that this new Elevate, like I was saying to Jake during the cast, like Bleed look better than in stage 1. They've improved this much. Fury look worse. They've probably got this much worse. Elevate have probably got that much better this stage. And I expect that to continue. I really hope it does, because I really want a bang.
We're working on different margins, James. You're like this, and I'm just like, nah, Fury are that much worse.
But
I just got a soft spot for all the Thai teams, and I always have. Same with No Cap. It's just something about them. But there is another thing that I just wanted to point out there, Rob, about Elevate, is they actually lost a lot of the opening engagements. It was pretty much 50-50 in this game, which team was winning the opening engagements. And yet the rounds were certainly not 50-50. No. And I think it really speaks to Elevate knowing how to play win conditions, knowing how to play their advantages, and also knowing how to fish when they need to look for a pick in the disadvantage. And that's something that me and Guz talked about in the Knock game that South Asian team really struggled with. And it's something that HASIB are really struggling with too. And Jake, it looks like you're struggling. It looks like you might have caught a big one, have you?
I did. His name is Anhai Carl. Rob, let's get him in.
Let's not waste any time about it. We're going to get this one done and dusted.
Hello.
My friend, congratulations on a big win. Obviously, it's not a big win in terms of the team that you're versing, but from stage 1 to stage 2, we've seen a very clear trend from you and the roster, which is these games where you're versing, let's just call them lesser opponents for now. They're just not up to scrap. You never give them a look in. Is that something that you guys talk about before these matches? Is it about trying to shut this game down as quick as possible? What's going into the preparation for this kind of match?
I mean, the prep has been good, but it's just when I hop into the lobby, I just play my game. I'm sure what I can do.
Oh, please. I love it.
Congratulations on the win tonight, and hi, Cal. Great performance from the team. Certainly, I think HASIB Warriors have shown this stage. You think about their game against Bleed, that they can have a good night, and you guys made sure that they really couldn't get comfortable in the server, so well done. Big game tomorrow, though, against Bleed. Goes without saying, both teams undefeated. do you kind of look at that game any more importantly than the others, or is it just another play day?
I mean, it's like all of the game in the play day is just as important as the others. So, like, even though Bleed is a very good team, I just feel like we still have what it takes to beat them. It's like.
Yeah, I wanted to ask something similar to the Bleed question, but we were talking here on the desk, theory crafting, how we reckon the teams in the Asia League are looking compared to Stage 1. Bleed are looking potentially better. Fury are definitely looking worse. We think Elevate's looking better. How do you guys feel like you are compared to Stage 1? Do you feel better in your matches?
We are definitely improving. Like, you can see, like, Stage 1, we were just getting comfortable. EWC qualifier, still getting comfortable. And now I feel like there's still a bit more to improve on, but I feel like we can take on much more now.
I mean, that's where you want to be. You want to be at a point where obviously you're looking competitive, but there's still more to come, which is kind of terrifying to think. And Heikel, anything you'd like to say before we let you go tonight, mate?
I just want to say thank you to all the fans and my family for supporting me. And yeah, see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you very much, mate. We'll speak
Thanks, mate.
Then.
All right.
Okay there, Robert? Give me a second. Do I need to get over there and do the Heimlich on you?
You could lick me in the
Sorry, what?
In the highway any day you want.
Sorry, what?
You can
say that one again for the camera.
You can lick me any day you want, mate. It's I was choking on some air there.
I think I'm a bit short of breath as well now, Rob.
Oh, well, you know, that's the effect I have on people. That's what my hosting does. It just leaves people breathless. A performance from Elevate, obviously, I'd love to say it keeps us breathless, but unfortunately, Xenox, she looked all too comfortable at the end of that game. A very calm, cool, collected match from Elevate.
Yeah, I think the picture says 1,000 words, and you know, the coolness and the calmness was there at no point, and I feel like that was a threatening game. You can see the total kills, one better than double. It's a total beatdown from Elevate onto HASIB Warriors. They'll be disappointed with that matchup for HASIB Warriors. Again, I think they've done well so far this stage in terms of being able to compete at times with these Southeast Asian teams. Last week was very disappointing when they lost the Knock Knock. This follow-up, also incredibly disappointing, and now their stage is very dismal, and now arguably they're going to finish bottom 2. There's no two ways about it. When you kind of look at their last 2 matches, they play Rival and then they play Fury.
You watch them win both of those games, Jay.
Well, as I've said, like, Rival looked good tonight. Rival looked good tonight, so I don't see them beating Rival. And look, let's be honest, they're not going to beat Fury either. So unfortunately for HASIB Warriors, it looks like it's going to be a winless stage. But you know, for Elevate, looking at the positives for them, just to be able to do it so cleanly and have that ruthlessness. Again, Bleed Light, very, very similar nature to the team that they're going to play tomorrow for what's certainly going to be one of the more exciting matches for the stage.
HASIB fans, clip it and ship it. Keep that in the back pocket. Xenox saying you're not going to win either game. Watch them go 6 points ahead. Dev, I think now we've got a very clear understanding as to how this league is playing out, right? Like, the first couple of days, we're always trying to find our feet. We're trying to figure out what the storylines are for individual teams, because a lot changes throughout the stage. Even though EWC was really only a month before we started, actually probably less than that. But as we start to turn our attention to playoffs, do you feel like things are cemented?
No, I don't think things are cemented yet. I think we still have unanswered questions, and I know we keep saying this, but the biggest question is what's going to happen tomorrow, Elevate and Bleed. And look, even Fury, you know, they do have the cruise on out from here. They're playing Knock Knock and HASIB. If they win both those games, like, the